Hey CEO, are you frustrated because you can't go 24/7 like you want to, or even keep up the pace that you used to? That's because you are not limitless. And that's a good thing. What if your limitations as a business owner aren't actually what's holding you back, but they are God's gift for doing the work that He's called you to? Today, we're talking about bodies, bandwidth, burnout, and the surprising freedom that comes when you stop fighting your limits and start partnering with God's limitless strength. So, are you ready to go there with me as a CEO and show your body some love? Good. Let's dive in. All right, it's chapter 2. Hello, February. And yes, love is in the air. So today we're going to talk about how to show your physical body and your bandwidth a little love by embracing one of God's most misunderstood gifts, your limitations. But before we dive into that, let me ask you something. Do you know who else deserves some love in your business right now? Your best fit buyers. Yes, those people who are exactly out there looking for you saying, I want to find the one. And that is why I'm hosting a 3-day live workshop series, February 10th through 12th, designed to help you go from sweet first impressions to you're the one conversions. It's called Be Mine, Be the One for your best fit buyers. And here's what we're going to be doing together. On day 1, we're going to talk about Be Seen, how to make instant, meaningful connections. Day 2 is Be Known. We're going to help you craft some irresistible aligned offers. And day 3 is Be the One, when you become the obvious next yes. And here's what I love about this. Being seen, being known, and being the one isn't just for brand new business owners. It's often established CEOs who need this most. Those ready to pour some gas on the fire and grow without burning out. So grab your spot, come ready to do the work, and let's make you more attractive to the people that you're actually called to serve. You can grab your spot at redeemhertime.com/mine. All right, now let's turn that love inward for a minute, because today we're talking about you. And if you're not embracing your limitations as a CEO, you may be unknowingly putting yourself on the fast track to burnout. I had a really humbling reminder of this recently about my own limitations. You see, back in December, I met up with our kids and grandson in the Pacific Northwest for some quality time. Games, great food, and of course, a hike. If you know that part of the country, you know there are no shortages of mountains to climb. So I left it up to my son and his wife to choose which one that we would summit together, and they chose Mount Si. The hike started in the rainforest with rain, yes, and as we climbed the switchback after switchback after switchback, that rain turned into sleet and then into huge snowflakes. Now, I was the only 50-something surrounded by a bunch of very fit 20-somethings, so of course I took up the rear, stopping periodically to catch my breath and rest my legs, but they never got too far ahead of me. At the top of the mountain, we grabbed snacks, rehydrated, and started our descent. I remembered passing people running down as we were hiking up, so I figured this part would be easy. It was, for about the first quarter. You see, not too far down, I suddenly had a hard time walking. Thankfully, someone had discarded a makeshift walking stick right when I needed it, so I grabbed it and kept going. The front group, which is my oldest son with my grandson on his back, plus my daughter and her fiance, kept up their 20-something pace. And bless their hearts, my middle son and daughter-in-law stayed back with me. We were doing okay until a little over halfway down, when even that walking stick wasn't enough. And no joke, right when I needed it, there was another discarded walking stick. This one was hand-carved. So now, imagine me using 2 mismatched walking sticks, different lengths, different weights, just trying to get my body down the mountain. And then, even that wasn't enough. I've never had knee problems, but suddenly I could barely move them. And every step sent pain through my entire body, so I had to move painfully slow. At one point, my son even offered to carry me. I told him no, as long as I could keep moving, even inch by inch, I would. I swear that parking lot felt like it was 100 miles away, and eventually we reached the level path to the car, and I could walk a little better without being on an incline. By the time we arrived at the vehicle, it had been over an hour since the front group had gotten there. Of course, they gave Mom the front seat with a seat warmer, and then I felt the wave of exhaustion hit me that lasted the rest of the night. I didn't even make it back to the table after dinner or join the nightly game of Catan. But I will say, the next day, seeing those 20-somethings hobbling just a bit made me feel better. But it still took me, at 52, almost 2 weeks before I could walk without feeling the effects of that hike. And as it reminded me of something I don't always like to admit, as time passes, my body's age has to help direct my decisions. You see, I love a good hike, especially with my kids. But as a midlife woman, I need to embrace the limits of my body. So next time, I might volunteer to hang out with my grandson somewhere warm and dry. So why do I tell you that story? Because as business owners, we have limitations too. And most of us spend a lot of time pretending we don't. We have physical limits, mental limits, emotional limits. And in midlife, especially, those limits start showing up louder and faster than they used to. Yet, one of the unspoken messages in entrepreneurship is this: if you want to grow, you have to push. Push your time, push your energy, push your capacity, push past tired, push past full, push past what your body and mind are clearly telling you. And the truth is, for a while, it works until it doesn't. Because your biggest obstacle to scaling to the heights you dream of in your business may not be a lack of strategy or clarity or discipline. It may be your refusal to acknowledge that you are human. We have bodies and minds that need rest, nourishment, margin, and plenty of unplugged time. Not once in a while, but regularly, especially in the season of life. But instead, so many of us live in a constant state of low-grade exhaustion, trying to squeeze in just one more thing. One more email, one more client call, one more idea, one more late night, and then we pay for it later with brain fog, irritability, declining health, loss of joy, or that quiet resentment that creeps in toward the very business that God has called us to steward. Please tell me I'm not the only one who's been there. And it's even harder not to resist our limits when we live in a culture that glorifies doing it all, especially when you scroll the feed and you see other women who seem to have endless energy, flawless systems, and perfectly balanced lives. But let's be honest. No one actually has unlimited capacity. Not them, not you, not me. Here's the part we often miss as Christians. God didn't forget to remove limits when he designed us. He gave us to them on purpose. For our protection, for our dependence, for our good. Because while we are limited, our God is not. So the real tension becomes this. What do you do when God-given dreams and assignments stretch far beyond the capacity of your physical body and mind? And that is exactly what we're going to talk about next. The first thing we need to understand is this: work is inseparable from our bodies. From the very beginning, God never designed work to be abstract, disembodied, or disconnected from our physical life. In fact, in Genesis 1, work is reframed in terms of being fruitful, multiplying, and exercising dominion over the earth. Then, in Genesis 2, we see something even more personal. God places humanity in the garden to work it and watch over it. That work required bodies. Hands in the soil, feet on the ground, energy expended. And as Adam and Eve tended the earth with their bodies, the earth in turn sustained their bodies. There was a mutuality, a rhythm, a built-in balance between work and physical life. That's why this line from Women in Work has been so formative for me. Whatever work God calls us to will happen through our body. Let that sink in for a minute. Not around your body, not despite your body, through your body. Which means that caring for your body is not separate from the work that God has given you. It's part of the work. And when we ignore that reality, our bodies will eventually force the issue. And when that happens, well, it always costs more. More time, more money, more energy, more frustration. We've all been there, right? Now, of course, things change after Genesis 2. Because in Genesis 3, work becomes painful. Childbearing becomes painful. The body becomes vulnerable. Fatigued, futility, and frustration now enter the story, and work requires a lot of toil. So yes, if you feel the strain in your body as you work, that's not a personal failure. That is life in a fallen world. But here's where the story takes a turn that we often overlook. Jesus willingly entered into that same embodied reality. He didn't come to earth as a limitless, tireless, immune to fatigue savior. He came in a human body, in flesh. He had to sleep, he had to eat, he had to withdraw, he had to say no. And it was through that limited body that he taught and healed and served and suffered and died and rose again and now reigns. As Hannah Anderson writes in her chapter, suddenly, things come full circle. Jesus comes into the world to redeem not just our souls, but our bodies as well. He comes to set us free from the curse that hangs over both our work and our physical lives. That means something profound for us as business owners. Our limitations do not disqualify us from kingdom impact. They are the very place where God meets us with his strength. Which is why Jesus' invitation in Matthew 11 is so personal and so practical, especially for those of us carrying work, responsibility, and leadership in limited bodies. Listen again to verses 28 through 30 from the Message. Are you tired out, worn out, burned out? Come to me, walk with me, work with me, watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. Ah, right? Unforced rhythms, free and light. That's not just poetic fluff. This is a whole different way of doing life and work. And here's the key shift. Having a body doesn't hinder your calling. It actually helps you discern it. Your body tells you what season you're in, what you can carry, what you need to release, where God might be asking you to slow down, not to shrink your calling, but actually to deepen it. Romans 12 tells us that presenting our bodies as living sacrifices is what helps us discern the will of God. In other words, your calling is not just revealed through prayer and vision, but through paying attention to the body that God gave you in the place and season that he placed you. Just as Jesus was called a specific body in a specific place at a specific time, so are you. And as we age, those bodies change. Our capacity shifts, our pace adjusts, and that, my friend, is not a loss, it's an invitation. Because slowing down often sharpens our hearing. It deepens our discernment. It keeps us from rushing past the very choice we're trying to follow. So how do we actually live this out as daughters of God and CEOs with real responsibilities? Well, I want to give you 2 practical ways to begin to embrace your limits, not as weakness, but as wisdom. Here you go. Number 1, pay attention to your body's needs. Our bodies were designed by God to communicate with us. They require nourishment, rest, care. And this becomes especially important during physically or mentally demanding seasons, whether that's launching a new offer, caring for aging parents, traveling, spending long hours on Zoom, or even just navigating the emotional weight of leadership. And here's the thing we often forget. Fatigue, aches, and discomfort are not character flaws. They're messages. You see, God designed your body to signal its needs before things break down completely. And when we ignore those signals, when we just push through for the sake of productivity or perceived faithfulness, we don't become more spiritual. We become more depleted. There's nothing noble or godly about overriding your body's cries for rest. You see, that day on the mountain, my body was screaming at me long before I wanted to listen. And because I didn't slow down when it first whispered, it eventually forced me to stop, at a much higher cost than if I had listened earlier. And the same thing happens in our business. When I try to push through one more workshop, one more email, one more late night just to get it done, my body eventually collects the debt, and it always charges me interest. So let me ask you this. What is your body telling you right now that it needs? More sleep? Better nourishment? Fewer late nights? More movement? Less screen time? And more importantly, how will you honor that need instead of dismissing it? Because caring for your body is not stepping away from your calling, it's stewarding the vessel through which your calling flows. Number 2 is to pay attention to your pace and your presence. Your body also reveals something else. You can only be fully present in one place at one time. No matter how advanced technology becomes, your body has not changed that fundamental truth. Now, multitasking may feel efficient, but it actually fractures your focus and thins out your impact. It's not your superpower. In fact, I call it your kryptonite, because what multitasking really does is keep you from being fully present anywhere. And presence matters to your clients, to your family, to your team, and to God. As passionate business owners, it's so easy to always be working, even when we're technically off. Our bodies might be sitting at the dinner table, but our minds are drafting emails, planning launches, or replaying conversations. Guess what? I am guilty of this too. And what I've noticed is that when I try to do too much, no one and nothing gets the best of me. And the work becomes thinner, and the relationships become shallower, and the fruit becomes harder to see. Slowing down doesn't mean doing less for the sake of it. It means doing the right things with presence, intention, and peace. That's why one of the most grounding questions you can ask yourself throughout the day is, what is it time for? Not what could I be doing, not what should I be doing, but what has God actually entrusted to me in this moment, in this body, in this place? And then allowing your pace to match that answer. When we honor our limits this way, something beautifully happens. We stop trying to be everywhere, and we start being faithful right where we are. And my friend, you are not meant to do this alone, because Scripture often describes the church as a body for a reason. When one part is tired, the others adjust. When one part needs rest, the whole body honors that need. As Hannah Anderson reminds us, learning to honor our bodies as God-given gifts will require countercultural choices. And she's right. This kind of stewardship will sometimes mean limiting your schedule, or deferring growth in a particular season, or saying no to opportunities that look good on paper but cost too much in real life, or resisting the pressure to work nonstop so your body can actually Sabbath. But what if those daily limitations aren't obstacles at all? What if they are God's built-in invitation to depend on Him, to trust that He will provide, He will multiply, He will sustain the work that He has called you to do? Because one day, yes, our bodies will be restored, renewed, and free from pain. But until then, we get to walk faithfully, wisely, and gently inside the limits that He has given us. knowing that his power is made perfect there. So here is this week's CEO reflection question. What is one practical choice that you can make today to care for your body and honor your limits as a CEO? Take some time to flesh that out, pun intended, in your CEO journal. Then come join the conversation inside the Redeem Her Time community at redeemhertime.com/community, or click the link in the show notes. That's where we're walking this out together, progressively, not perfectly. And while you're showing yourself some love, don't forget to grab your spot for the Be Mine workshop series to show some love to your best fit buyers. It's happening February 10th through 12th. And yes, replay access will be available when you register. Friend, I can't wait to walk this slowly out with you.